Dr. Moore grounds us in the region's most urgent needs, and that's beginning with the Sunyani Teaching Hospital. I'll then address areas of social enterprise and university education. And Dr. Emmanuel Contour who is our in-country liaison with Ghana, will provide insight into some of the challenges and government relations and issues that are pressing today. So we'll pause for a few words for sponsor recognition. And so I would like to introduce Dr. John McCormick, our fiscal sponsor at this time. Dr. McCormick. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for doing well. Have a seat.
Super.
So, Dr. McCormick, you provide an invaluable service as being our fiscal sponsor. So, for the audience, can you explain what the role of a fiscal sponsor is? Because we, PGC, Project Generation Connect, has an affiliation with you through a fiscal sponsorship. So please explain that.
Sure. So Indian Poverty Through Education has been a nonprofit organization for about 25 years, and we have worked in countries outside the United States, which was kind of critical for a project like this, because when you have a project like this where you're going outside in Ghana and things like that, there's several things that are very important to people that might donate for the cause. So we know that, people that are going to give money, even if it's a worthy cause, want to know that those funds are directed appropriately to what they've advertised, right? So in this case, we're looking specifically at, what the needs of the region are in the medical space, related to education, and things like that. So when we frame that in an organization, the fiscal sponsor's role is not only to receive those funds, but to make sure those funds are actually utilized as advertised. All right. And you do that with a lot of fidelity and a lot of confidence so that people that are donating that cause can circle back to that and go, yes, what I actually put my money up for got used for what I wanted it to be used for. Fortunately, we live in a world where that doesn't happen all the time. So having the appropriate fiscal sponsor that understands the space and the rules, all right, it's very important to make sure that, when you go out to do these things, that those contributions are not only recognized, but they're qualified, and those sponsors actually get receipts.
Thank you, Dr. John, for that explanation. We're going to bring you back up here to discuss what it is that is in your space and the importance of the relationship with PGC. So thank you so much.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Next, we would also like to have with us, we have Karen Johnson. She has a nonprofit enterprise. What am I saying? You have a nonprofit organization. And Karen, could you come up, please? Karen's organization is a sponsor to this event, and so we want to give her recognition at this time. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. So, can you explain, give some enlighten us as to what your organization does and how it interfaces, and the reason why you're a sponsor for Project Generation Connect?
Well, I've been a good friend of Sonia's for many years, and we've done a lot of projects together. And of course, I want to help support her cause, and the fact that she has the word connect in there relates to some of what I do too. That's to connect, but I'm more on a community level. I'm not at a global level, but again, a community level. But let me point out some of the things that community care housing thrives to do. Of course, we help people connect and thrive in their communities, and that includes rebuilding community, reducing isolation, supporting aging in place and other care groups, and strengthening neighborhoods. Recently, we launched a tool called Neighbor Connector, which is an app to build trusted support networks, communication, events, daily check-ins, rides, assistance, and community engagement. The invitation I want to give everybody tonight is to join the movement, to strengthen your community, and to build connections. And anyway, that's easy to do if you just want to download the Neighbor Connector app. Again, that's just one way to get started.
Thank you so much for that. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us this evening?
Well, if you do have your phone and you want to scan the barcode, you should be able to find the app. And again, it's called Neighbor Connector. And again, we want to connect with people that matter to you, and we want to share help, share, give help, and also get support.
Thank you so much. And so, everyone, what we would like to share with you is some of the why Project Generation Connect is involved in Ghana. So the Gold Coast is for a reason. Long before it was a line on the map, the Bono region was the cradle of the Akan civilization and a hub of trans-Saharan gold trade. It was a place that created wealth and traded in the world on its own terms, and the history is not nostalgic, it's a model. So Project Generation Connect exists to move this region from aid to trade, from dependency to enterprise. Our work spans education and research, health and well-being, road safety, youth and workforce deployment, development, and agriculture and local processing. But the thread through all of it is the same. Build things that last, that pay their own way, and that put dignity and ownership in local hands. This is not a pitch, it's a work session. People in this room, our board and our management team are the ones who turn that philosophy into project partners and results. So our efforts are going to be focused on the medical and educational space. And with that, we have to understand the needs. And so understanding the needs, before solutions, we have to be honest about what the region is actually asking for. And there's no clearer voice than the Sunyani Teaching Hospital. And that's our anchor in health. And so I would like to introduce at this time, Dr. Shawana Moore of Emory University. And she has exposure, experience, and knows what the critical needs are in this space in the Sunyani region of Ghana. We'll hear from her in a pre-recorded message. So if we can do so now.
Thank you, Hal. I want to ground us in real requests, not abstractions. In May, our team walked through the Sunyani Teaching Hospital on video. The hospital that serves more than 1.3 million people across the Bono region and documented 15 specific needs. The most urgent are unmistakable. A surgical supply cabinet that sits rusted and nearly empty. Worth $500, restock it for a week. A generator overhaul so surgeries never go dark. Service on the single CT scanner for the entire region. And dialysis consumables, where a 6-month supply funds more than 300 life-sustaining treatments. My ask of this group is simple. Hear these needs clearly and look for where an enterprise-based response, not a one-time aid, can meet them in a way that lasts.
So thank you, Dr. Moore. Let's take these on directly. So when we were in Ghana this past December 2025, we had the occasion to visit the regional hospital, and we have a video of the needs that can most impact the citizens, the population there in the Sunyani region. So let's look at the video for a few minutes.
The Sunyani Teaching Hospital, established in 2003, remains the main referral center for three distinctive administrative regions: Bono, Bono East, and the Ahafo region, providing medical care for over 3.8 million indigenes. The footage captures a number of existing crippling challenges, hampering the day-to-day service of the facility, making it difficult to meet the growing medical needs of the inhabitants presently.
So, Sunyani Teaching Hospital used to be the original hospital of the then Brown Ahafo region. So we serve people from all the three neighboring regions, Bono East, Ahafo, and some part of Western North and Savannah regions. We have patients coming all over from those places to the hospital. So the hospital used to be the regional hospital for Bono region until it was converted into a teaching hospital in November 2023. So since then, we have been operating as a teaching hospital. So we lack most of the equipment that we will require to provide this specialist care. Some include MRI machines, mammogram machine, X-ray machines, endoscopy equipment, CM, dialysis machines, and even hospital beds. As a teaching hospital, we need a standard accident and emergency center. As we speak now, our A&E department has only 12 beds. And like I said, we are to provide advanced health care. However, from time to time, we get cases that should have been treated at the primary levels. So when we go to our family medicine center, the place is always choked with a lot of patients coming all over from the country. So it has brought about the need for a new family medicine block for the facility, so that patients can go there for their first treatment and be referred to the other specialized clinics for health care. And one other infrastructure requirement is the physio and rehabilitation center. If you get that one too, it is going to help us a lot. We know the government has come out with this primary health care policy, which is helping. And if we are able to streamline some of these things too, it can strengthen the facilities at the peripheral levels, and we can provide the best of care as a teaching hospital. When you bring a patient for emergency care and there's no bed or the complement of other resources to take care of them, it becomes a problem. It's a problem for all of us. So the hospital having only 12 beds for the emergency is woefully inadequate. So what we are doing is that we extend the emergency care to some of the wards. We also have one of our biggest challenges in the hospital is the lighting system, generators. In the event that we encounter any power outages, it becomes very difficult for us to operate. The machine that we are using is an old generator that cannot supply power to the entire hospital. So we are always found wanting when there's light out. So we getting new generators in the form of support will help.
This is our emergency facility, which is woefully inadequate, very small. As you can see, we only have a 12-bed capacity. Sometimes, if it becomes critical, we can push it to about 11-bed capacity. And as you can see, we have a lot of needs. We need a lot of things to make the emergency a real emergency situation. First about the capacity, and then in terms of instruments and equipment, monitors, cardiac monitors, proper beds, proper emergency beds, and then a whole lot of other things, AEDs, ventilators, and then ultrasound scans and whatnot. We have some, but no, woefully inadequate. As we are speaking to you, we have only one ventilator at the emergency because of the capacity. We have only one. We have one AED, and then 1 FAT scan, which is not adequate. So anything that the office can do to help us, especially in terms of creating more capacity so that we can take in more patients.
If you look at each bed, you can see that some of the beds, you can't prop them up well. You have to use, boxes. You have to keep boxes underneath. So in case you have a patient who needs to be propped up at an angle to help with the respiration, you have to put a box under it. So the beds in itself, even though we have 12 beds that we can wheel around, functionally you can't prop them up, so it's a little bit defective.
So as we all know, we have checked the CT scan that it's already working, and this is the first CT scan that was installed for us. But now it is not working, it's not functional. It has been broken down for years now, and so we have only one CT scan that is working for the entire teaching hospital.
Yes, here's the dialysis unit where we do the renal replacement therapy for people with chronic kidney disease, people whose kidneys are not able to function as a normal human being is supposed to do. Yes, so we have only 3 machines here. Some of the challenges that we have here is that there are a lot of patients here, but the machines are few. So this is making us unable to attend to many patients that we are supposed to, and sometimes electricity issues too is very, very bad. Sometimes patients may be on a machine, then lights go out. You have to wait for the ECG to do what they are supposed to do, or you have to call the maintenance so that they will do some preparations at the hospital, the plant, so that they get us power. It takes a lot of time and then a lot of resources. A lot of things go on in here, but we are urging all stakeholders to come to our aid.
I'm Patricia Alipi from Sunyani Teaching Hospital, and this is the labor ward. Yes, this is where we do our deliveries, both normal deliveries and then cesarean sections. So as Sunyani Teaching Hospital and as a maternity block, in fact, we can't do this alone with our power. So we will need some medical equipment, and we know that even as we are caring for these pregnant women, medical equipment come to play. Yes, so without this medical equipment, we can't give the best quality that this client deserves. So we will plead with the stakeholders to help us with this medical equipment. For instance, this is fetal Doppler that we use to check the well-being of the fetus in utero, and this one, as you see here, is the CTG machine. Yes, it's also help us to detect any deviation even as the client comes in labor. So without this machine too, we can't give our best as in monitoring the fetus. And this whole entire unit here, ideally every labor room should have one. But here lies the case, we are having only one that we are managing in all the labor suite.
Good afternoon. Please, this is the obstetric theater. So starting, we have this suction machine, as you can see. We have a lot of attachment to it. We are supposed to have 2 bottles, but unfortunately we have only one, and it's not in a very good shape. So we'll tell Honorable or any other person who can help us with it. So there is supposed to be a locker for anesthesists to store their drugs. Unfortunately, we don't have any. So they keep storing their drugs on the machine here. So we are pleading if we can get a beautiful small locker here for anesthesia to store and keep their drugs. Okay. And as we can see, this is not the ideal. You're supposed to have a long handle for the taps so that you can easily open and close for proper scrubbing and to prevent infection. And our soap dispenser here with a dryer. Unfortunately, we don't have it here. So we are pleading with such people to help us with it. Then we also have a standby operating lamp. It is not in good shape at all. Immediately the light goes off, it also goes off. It's supposed to help us whenever the light goes off and we are having surgery. So this light goes off when there is a light out, and we have a standby one here, which is supposed to help us. Unfortunately, immediately the light goes off, it also goes off. Then diatemy machine. It is used for cutting and also coagulating. Coagulating in the sense that it stops bleeding, but it is also not in good shape. So we will need a diatemy to help us in our surgeries. Then a locker to store our items here, together with instruments. Yeah, this is the shape. So enough instruments to help us to carry out every procedure we do in the theater. So we are pleading. We don't have all the instruments for obs and gynae cases. Enough aprons. That's the anesthesia machine. It's been here for ages. So if you can get a current one, because it keeps going off and on. So if you can get a current one, and enough boots, aprons. See, these are the aprons that we are using. You mostly tie with a gauze. Okay. Yes. Yes. Scrub shoes. No, the scrub shoes are outside here. Then our operating lamp, a very important equipment in the theater. Yeah. Operating bed, sorry. Very, very important. Sometimes when you operate and bring it up, it's difficult bringing it down. But you also have to bring it down for the patient to be able to climb and step on and sit on the bed. But unfortunately, sometimes when it goes up to the surgeon's level, it's unable to come down. And we find it very difficult to put the patient on the bed.
This is the 2 big plants that was installed when the hospital was built. And we installed this more than 20 years. It's about 23 years now. And they are not functional anymore. You can't do anything in the hospital, whether it's a surgery, whatever that you want to do. You cannot provide that kind of healthcare that we want to provide for the people. But we have just one CT scan, and that is just 250 kV. We go there from here, and that is what we've given to the emergency areas, like the emergency theater and maternity and those places. So as I said, this is the small one that is supporting us. This is the 250 kVA plant that we have given to the emergency areas. So for this one, it's very strong. Whenever there is a power outage, this is what we use for emergency theater, maternity.
Yeah, my name is Honorable Said Mubarak, MP for Sunyani, and a member of Parliament for Sunyani East. Fortunately for us, this is a facility which finds itself in Manu constituency. And honestly, what we just observed today tells us that this hospital needs a lot of help. What even really broke my heart was the generator that they have here. If the national grid goes off, what they depends on is the generator. But unfortunately, it's faulty for some years now. We need a new one. We went to the theater, you could see that the place are not in a good shape at all. We need a lot of help. So you out there, we are pleading to you, come to our aid so that we can help our people have a better health care. And this is no more a regional hospital, it's a teaching hospital. We are lacking a lot of things, dialysis machine, mammogram, a lot of machine that we need here. So we are pleading to you that come to our aid that we can furnish the hospital. So thank you so much for your time.
So hearing from Dr. Moore, understanding the needs, and understanding the needs is one concern, but more importantly, it's the critical areas of need. And so I think it would be beneficial to have our sponsor, Karen Johnson, with her program, along with part of our management team, Dr. Emmanuel Contour, who's our liaison in Ghana, to come here and let's have a chat of some of the concerns and the whys. So, Ms. Johnson and Dr. Contour, would you please come up and let's have a session here that would enlighten our audience. Continue this conversation. Karen, would you please express some of your observations here for Dr. Contour?
Sure. It was enlightening to be able to see the video. It's one thing to maybe outline, the different things that they need, and maybe have a list, for different donors. But in observing too, I was asking myself, in the United States, they charge quite nicely for anything that we have to have, when we become a patient in a hospital. And hopefully we have insurance. Now, I just would like to learn more from Dr. Contour. Again, where's the gap? Why don't they have a program like we have to be able to get those items and get reimbursement?
That's a good question. When you look at Ghana compared to United States, in a scale of 1 to 10, Ghana will be like 1, US is 10. Imagine if somebody falls sick, they want you to pay $10 or $5, they don't have the money. And we don't have insurance system like Ghana. Even though some people say the government says giving them free insurance, however, it's just a paper. If you go there and you don't have money, you die. Besides that, like the video indicated, there are so many things that the hospitals need. You need equipment, hospital. Look at a hospital that saved over 3.8 million. That's equivalent to University of Arnold's hospital, high-class hospital. And you compare this, and they call this as a regional or a hospital serving the whole state of Colorado, and you're looking at it, they don't have anything. So it's very difficult, and they don't have the resources. The government don't have the means. Everything is relying on the government, and government don't have the means to save all the people. So it becomes a problem. It's like survival of the fittest. You're on your own. If you're sick, you need to figure your way out. And I cite my mom as an example. My mom was here in the United States with me. So she went to Ghana for a little vacation, and very unfortunately, she fell sick, and it wasn't anything that major, but we always try to make sure we take care of things. But I don't know. So when they took my mom to the hospital, it took about 2 hours or something. We didn't take it serious because we thought it was just a basic, sickness that could be addressed. So my younger brother called me, hey, mom in the hospital. But at the rate that she was declining, we need some help. So what help? Of course, there are so many things. Even when you have medical doctors, they are not professional like Americans because they don't care. They do whatever they want to do. So the reason why they call me so that I can, of course, it's about who you know. So I can start calling. How can help my mom, all that kind of thing. So when they call me, and then I figured it out, okay, I also link the call to my friends, medical doctors who live in Texas. They were doing video call trying to help this local doctor in Ghana to be able to revive my mom. But at the rate that she was declining, it came to a point that they needed equipment, or I don't know the kind of equipment that they need. They need to use it, do some 10-hour checks or whatever, but the hospital didn't have equipment. And this hospital that I was referring to, it was so-called Nemo Hospital. Nemo is in Colorado. It was a private hospital that serves the high elite people, and they even don't have it. It's a Nemo mining, so, and they didn't have it. So after we dropped the phone call, my friend medical doctor in US side, they said, hey, Emmanuel, I don't think your mom is going to survive, but there's something happening internally, but they don't have the means to look at it. So what can I do? When we dropped the phone call, within I want to have, he called me, your mom passed away. I said, what? So that was the whole reason why I'm involved with this organization, because I try to compare myself to, there are some people, now I can put a food on the table. There are so many people in Africa, they rely food or basic needs from their parents. And imagine something like that, somebody have maybe 3 kids or 4 kids, their mom or their dad pass away. Who's going to take care of the kids? I myself personally, initially, of course, the village that I came from, I always want help. I'm building 6 classroom block to help the little community where I came from. But when my mom passed away and there was another fundraising event, I had to donate substantially to help that event because the way my mom passed away, it was heartbreaking to me. And I always try to refer that or reflect that to those who don't have. What goes to them? Of course, my mom passed away, I can still feed myself. What about those who don't have it? That was my driving force at the moment. Say, okay, let me join partner with you when I had shared the story with you and you wanted to help. So there is so many things that anytime you're trying to compare United States to Africa or third world country, you may get it wrong. So you need to dive into it to see what is out there. You may say, okay, why they don't have a hospital? We also have a problem. There is no problem in America. When you see something, sometimes you may end up shedding tears. If you have the willing heart, of course, there are some people out there, they're willing to help you to try to define the need. How can we help in the small scale? When you see it, you will move. Nobody will tell you. So,
thank you, Dr. Condor, for that explanation. Karen, I think it helps us focus on the reason and the purpose of Project Generation Connect. The government, even in industrialized nations, governments is not the answer to everything, and government cannot supply everything. The wealth that we have here in America, there still are challenges, but they're different in third world countries. And when you're talking about in Ghana and having been there, I can tell you that is, from what Dr. Contour shared, is endemic in all of Africa. Most of the nations in Africa are similar to the condition in Ghana. So Project Generation Connect is trying to do exactly that. We're trying to connect with the critical needs in a local area, in a region that we've been asked to participate in. And so we want to identify through Dr. McCormick and Dr. Moore, who address these needs through our next discussion here, which is social enterprise. So thank you so much for asking that question and bringing light to it. And thank you, Dr. Contour, for giving that explanation.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're very welcome.
Go.
You know, I know that you're probably sending a lot of your, any money you can back to Ghana to help where you can. And I know the government, isn't there to help out. But I'm just curious, what you guys are gonna be doing to help, not just to give, but also to make whatever programs you're putting together to be sustainable. So can you help me know how you're gonna turn this into something more sustainable?
That's a good question. I was trying to refer, but anytime I see something, I try to act. Like initially, I did mention that I was building a 6th classroom. I didn't show it to you when we went to Ghana, even though it's not complete yet. So the whole story, to cut a long story short, 3 years ago, I visited Ghana. And then when I went there, there was a rainstorm or whatever. So there was a student in the building. It broke and it killed about six students. Big mess. On the subsequent year, I went there, I saw this building like a trap. If there's a little bit wrong, it's gonna repeat the same incident. And I said, no, I can't let this happen. I've seen it. What can I do in the lower level on my own dime to help? That was the origin of me building 6th classroom block so that we can sustain. So there's issues and issue. However, of course, the culture of maintenance is always an issue. So because of that, once it's done, I'm going to take a full responsibility, design my own bit to make sure there's a continuity there, not just build it and leave it. No, I will make sure that I'm attached to it. If it's not going right, I'll make sure I take any proper measures to make sure it's on cost, because it's a dime money that comes from me. Same way, if somebody donate or something, that is where I come in play, making sure, of course, Ghana is not like America. You have to be connected to the government, assign something before you can get people do things for you that people scale and get people moving. So these are some of the control measures. If a dime or penny come from any donors or whoever it comes from, we make sure that there's a proper continuity of operation, not just throw the money out there and then maybe just take off. No. So there's going to be a connectivity out there, making sure people, for example, when I brought the parliamentarian here, if there's something wrong, he's like a friend. I can talk to him and say, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you? And they are the people that the community or the society, when they tell them, they're in this project, because it's not just going to build something and leave and let it go. We make sure we have people who be in charge. Even though we are not there, we also have some oversight out there, making sure that.
Well, and what I also mean by sustainable is, what can they do to pay for their own equipment or their own needs rather than having to rely on donations?
Well, this question is something that, of course, poverty is everywhere. There's nothing you can do to eliminate it. You can reduce it to the barest minimum. However, this is the beginning. It's boiled down to money. And me being experienced in the United States and also in Ghana, if I'm doing business, I know some measures that I can put in place, making sure that people are able to feed themselves. Or, for example, the king, for example, he's just building one factory that gives jobs to people. Okay, of course, it's a big dollar. They don't have the money to do it. I believe I was talking to a friend. We were talking about how to get maybe something like a cooperative union, like a small loan. If you give somebody like a $500, okay, you can change somebody's life completely. Or you can start from low scale level where you can bring 10 of people together where they will be accountable to each other, making sure that, let's say, for example, I have like $2,000. Okay, I need to give $2,000 to these people, but I want to make sure that, it's not just I'm giving you today and then tomorrow you're coming back to me. That's the concept that I've been using. If I give you money, it's not that I'm giving you money to come back and ask me money. I want to make sure that there will be multiplier effect, that you continue to make sure that you survive, not just giving you money every day. I do it into my own family members, which I told a lot of stories. You gotta go, so you can be able to feed yourself. So have the mindset that once you're able to get the resource, you will make sure that at least that is where Dr. John also, for example, like in a training, poverty, like has, that's where we can even call, hey, this is what we have. What can we do to bring them out of poverty. Because I'm not an expert in that, but I know there's an expert somewhere that can lead that program, but it's boiled down to resources. If you don't have the resources,
So thank you, Dr. Contour, in helping answer Karen's question. Is it not also is it not also true that Ghana is a country that is advancing rapidly? And so, Ms. Johnson, to your question, from the federal government's position, which doesn't have the resources, Ghana's, because it's changing in its governance from decades, 100+ years of taking its natural resources and exporting its resources as raw materials. Now a shift has been taking place in Ghana that I think you can shed some light on that will help Ms. Johnson understand the transition that's going on in Ghana, and also the raising of the GDP and standards, and more capabilities for the federal government to participate in the major areas that they want to make an improvement, which is in the healthcare sector is one of those.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. If you call, I've been to some of the United States, some of the states, if you look at it and they said they are rich compared to Ghana or Africa, Africa shouldn't be poor. They have everything. The resources. When you get the gold, transition to here. Nemo Mining, for example, it operates in Ghana. It's a multi-billion-dollar company, but all the resources, they take it, they bring here. For example, if, like you said, there had been a drastic change with the government right now. Right now, like less than a year ago, the government there had been a new law that they will not allow any foreign, country to just take the raw material and bring them to your country. So now and since then, they have accumulated wealth, billions of dollars. Of course, there are some other Western countries, they're struggling now. So now the Ghana government is getting smarter these days, and he's bringing all these private companies together. We need to come back to the drawing board, making sure that it's fairly, people are also benefiting. And once they are doing things in Ghana, you produce jobs. For example, the Ghana government, a week ago, he just had a meeting with the Ivory Coast government, which is Ivory Coast and Ghana are the top producer of cocoa and gold in the world. Okay, and it's okay. He was talking to the Ghana Ivory Coast government, the president, saying, "Hey, we need to come out with something that we will not let the other country just take the raw material and it's in pipeline." Ghana have done it, and Zimbabwe. There are so many African countries, they are doing it right now. They are seizing all the raw materials, and it's going heavily. And one thing I also observed too, I look at it this way: when you go to Africa, China is taking over Africa. They are way far advanced than US. When I say they are advanced, because they understand the business model in Africa. So the African president or African government, they are getting in line with China. US is getting behind. But if we have the right people who can link up, of course, US is a Ghana most friendly country. We have one of the biggest US embassies in the whole Africa. Okay, in Ghana, we are a very friendly country with the US. But when it comes to business, it's different. It's government. So we need to figure a way out how we can model with China, or however we can do to penetrate the system. But right now, we are behind. China is taking over everything right now.
So thank you for that, Dr. Contour. So, Ms. Johnson, to your question, why can't the why is because the social infrastructure is not there yet. So it's not fully developed like it is in a developed nation, where many resources are poured back into society. They have the desire, but they don't have the capability. They have the resources, but they don't have the manufacturing or the processing capacity. The government, however, recently, in the last 3 years, like Dr. Condor explained, has made a major shift, and many of the African countries are doing this now because they no longer. A simple example. So if you take a kilogram of cashew nuts, raw cashew nuts, that these farmers are out there and they're paid $3 a kilogram for their product, and it's shipped out raw. Well, if you had investments in the producing regions for cocoa and for cashews, like in Bono region, then the farmers would receive their $3 for the raw, but through the advancement of integration with the farmers, bringing in foreign investments where they're going to pay for a processing facility for profit, but instead of just taking all the money for themselves, now the encouragement is to form co-ops. Well, what does that mean? Well, to form a co-op of 300 farmers that will guarantee that their raw materials will go into this processing facility, then they gain another $2. This is just a model. Gain another $2 a kilogram. Well, that is a 67% jump in their net take home. So what does that do? That improves the communities and provides a taxable income for the government. It provides wealth for the communities that then can improve the infrastructure needs as well as the medical needs of the hospital. It's not a quick fix. This is a multi-generational commitment, and Ghana has turned the corner, we believe. And one of the reasons why Project Generation Connect is here, and Dr. Condor is one of the management team that manages the Project Generation Connect. We then can direct resources to it, and through the nonprofit efforts, and then raise awareness, which based on research and our educational programs that will be instituted, we then can start making measurable differences based on that research, that donations will be more inclined to donate because they have a research model that proves up the reason, the rationale for the investment of their donations. And you start small in the communities, but you have a commitment from the federal government, which you have today, that they're going to implement laws that no longer will permit the taking of their raw materials and processing it and selling it back to the country that they just took advantage of. So we are excited about that prospect because that opens many doors for us in our space of what is one of the 5 pillars of the reasons why we're in Ghana.
Yeah, and to add on what you just said too, like I said, there's no way we can convert raw material to finished good. That's the major problem. There are some people out there, they've been doing subsistence farming. They farm a lot. Imagine somebody's doing tomato farming and you have the tomato already. How long can you keep this? They just rot and then just go. Maize farming, soybean, they've been doing them, but they don't have a preservation system in place. That is what case project, like you said, to help out alleviate poverty. If you're able to do like preservation method, which Americans, we have technology and all that kind of stuff, it help them make sure that they deserve what they have. But if they don't, then there's nothing they can do. They can still produce, and within short period of time, the food basket of food is rotten. There's nothing they can do about it, and then they're back to square zero. So that is another problem. That's why it's kind of hard. So
it sounds like there's many segments that you got to address. It's not just a one fix all, you know.
Yeah, it's big.
So thank you so much for that discussion, Ms. Johnson and Dr. Condor. So we will now move on to our next segment. So thank you so much for coming up and participating with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That's right. Hey,
Much for that participation, Ms. Johnson and Dr. Contour. Next, what we would like to talk about is the social enterprise model. There are several social enterprise models, and I want to focus in on one of our clearest opportunities in the Sunyani-Bono region, and that is the social enterprise as educational support at the university level. And so when we talk about social enterprise, I want to anchor that with something that's concrete, educational support at the university level. And so when we tie it to that, the model we're after combines financial sustainability with measurable outcomes and degrees earned, research produced, and students connected across institutions, and not one-off scholarships at the end of a capital raise. So our university partnerships are the engine. So right now with Project Generation Connect, we have 3 university systems that we wish to highlight. For example, Dr. Moore's relationship with Emory University in Atlanta, Dr. John McCormick's relationship through the doctoral program at St. Thomas University, and Dr. Emmanuel Contour's relationship through the doctoral program with Liberty University. So the question is how we structure that support so it sustains itself and produces graduates and research that strengthens the Bono region for the long term. So, Ms. Johnson, that was in part of your question. How do you develop sustainability through resources? And so that is our hopes and aspirations as we build those relationships, create a sustainable model through education at the postgraduate level, because that then creates opportunities for employment in the Sunyani and Bono region. Those employments at the higher levels are the folks who are going to be your next managers, your educators, your process engineers, that are related to the new industry that's coming into the Bono region, your agricultural businesses, your processing plants. And so that educational connection then is going to not only impact the community levels with the primary education, but it's the secondary education as well that we're aspiring to provide scholarships to through a working model. So with that, I'd like to move on to the next area, which is from ideas to implementation. And that will be our final segment for this evening. And so that's the identifying of pilot initiatives, partnerships, and next steps that follow tonight. So to ground it, I've asked Dr. John McCormick to come up again to show us one of the bridges that turns ideas into funded action, and then we'll commit to next steps later. So Dr. John, if you'll come now next and share with us ideas that become real when there's structure that carries them. So thank you once again for coming up and very welcome. So let's use the university level model as we approach this, and give us more insight, as a little more discussion about your 20+ years of taking a program that started at the primary education level, and as your nonprofit progressed and met with success, you then met with success in the secondary postgraduate level, and now you actually are experiencing the benefits of a 25-year run, and you're actually producing college graduates.
Yeah.
So give us a 5-minute dissertation on start to finish here from simple implementation of a program to affecting kids and families all the way up to now you're turning out graduates from doctoral programs.
I think I'm going to ruin your timeline just a little bit because it was such an interesting discussion that was held earlier. I want to kind of unpack that and then tie it to what we're doing, to what we're trying to do through Project Generational Connect, because I think the name is so important because the commitment is generational.
Very well.
All right. So I think it's important to kind of start with the story. How did we ever get into ending poverty through education? What is the poverty trap? And what we see is in a lot of the third world underdeveloped countries is extreme poverty. And it's hard for us in the US to actually understand and even compartmentalize it, because what we see as poverty in the United States is not poverty. All right. When you look at a third world country, we're talking about people that are going without food, people that are going without medical care, people that are going without education. And it's not lack of intelligence or lack of desire. It literally is lack of opportunity. So they have to stop so they can eat, and we have so many social welfare programs that are built into our culture and what we do. Even our children, and I taught at a Title I school for 10 years. Title I is children in poverty in the United States, right? But even those children, they may not have had resources at home, but they were provided education, free lunches, free breakfasts, things like that. So they always had some place to eat and feel safe. All right. Unfortunately, when you go into one of these third world countries, the schools are not providing any nutrition. So they're hungry, which means they can't think, which means they can't learn. And their environment outside of the school is not necessarily safe. So there's a lot of factors that are going into why this is not sustainable. What can you do to change that, right? So in 25 years, what we learned is the same lesson over and over again. People want and strive for opportunity. People like Dr. Emanuel are willing to pay it forward. He was fortunate enough to survive the system that he grew up in, gain a great education through his own tenacity, all right? And now he's reflecting that back to his community and saying, I want to pay it forward. I know what that's like. I want to help grow that. Right. So when you came to me and said, what is it that we can do? We had a wide range of discussions. I think it falls into the subject matter that we talked about, right? First of all, let's just focus in on the hospital for just a minute. Can we do that?
Sure.
All right. So we look at the hospital, looks like a beautiful building on the outside, and then you open it up and suddenly it's empty. I mean, yes, there were hospital beds there, and yes, there was some equipment, but as reflected directly by the people who are being interviewed, the equipment is old, it's not functional, it's broken. And when I hear the numbers of, well, we're here in this region and there's 1.3 million people around that hospital, and we think about our hospital systems here in America. Let me frame that for you. We build a hospital for 40,000 people. Okay. So that's right. We have hospital systems with 40 or 50 hospitals to serve that number of people. All right. So when he tragically talked about his mom passing away, and it was almost a given, she got sick. They're not going to have the tools. They don't have the resources. It's not that they don't have doctors. They do.
That's right.
And it's not that they don't have trained nurses. They do.
That's right.
But, you know, I can have the best mechanic in the world, but if I don't put tools in his hand, he can't fix my car. All right. So I think the first thing we got to do, we kind of got a multi-phase thing we want to do. Is this a generational problem? Absolutely. Can the government of Ghana pass laws and say, we're going to keep our natural resources here? Sure. But they still have to have an industrial revolution like we had. And what's lacking in industrial revolution? You've got to have people that are educated, that are able to use the tools. Even if you brought in private investors and built the factories, you've got to educate the people to do it. Otherwise, you're going to import in workers.
Yes.
That doesn't help your economy. You want to educate the people there and grow it locally so they can pay it forward. So obviously, I'm very passionate about that. You can hear that in my voice. So I think there's a couple of things we need to do post this discussion. We want to be able to identify in a priority kind of way, you know, those medical, we call it durable medical equipment kinds of things that we can then publish out and get people to come in and sponsor those things so we can provide those directly to those hospitals. And our focus primarily was on newborns, all right, and pregnant mothers. And the reason we picked that is because there's about 276,000 mothers that pass away in Ghana every year. That's one person death or two if they're pregnant every 2 minutes. Right? Every 2 minutes somebody's dying. And it's not because some mothers die generally with their baby. All right. So it's a death every 2 minutes. That's a crisis. And that's a crisis we can directly impact just by giving the people that are there that are trained the resources to help save those young mothers, you know, and I think we can do that.
And that's why we've paired you and Dr. Moore together so that we could initiate those types of programs at the university level so that we can get anchored in that community and then start perhaps peer-to-peer relationships with American physicians through your network of physicians and Dr. Moore's network of physicians, along with the network of physicians in the same disciplines with women's health, maternal mortality, and postnatal and infant mortality. And then to the point that you're making with the hospital that is anchored in that area. But to do that, we also need to equip that hospital so that for every life saved is a generation promoted and extended, which all the economics is secondary. It's that family that will have children, that will have grandparents, and so now you impact positively the local, state, district, and federal economies.
So what can we do today, right? And we know the Ghana government, just in the last decade, has done a yeoman's work in dedicating resources to primary care clinics and things like that. That's one of their initiatives. It helped actually decline the number of deaths pretty significantly. I hate to say it used to be a lot higher. It was, but now where we're at today, and it's plateaued and it's still unacceptable. So I think that's the first target. But when you save kids, the next thing you got to do is educate them, right? And that's kind of where my experience comes in. We recognize this 25 plus years ago. There was an earthquake in El Salvador. It destroyed a little mountain village called Verapaz, you know, just wiped out about a third of the community. And the church organization that I was with had, asked if we would go and help rebuild that community and dig wells and doing some things. And I went down there and with my mother, who was a lifetime school teacher. And what we saw as we were there helping rebuild is a lot of young children, 10, 11, 12 years old, walking around. And she asked the same kind of questions that we all ask. Why aren't those kids in school? Because in America, they would be, right? They would be in school. And that's when we was like, well, if they go to school, they don't eat. And they can go work out in the fields. And you start drawing those correlations between what's going on in El Salvador and what's going on in Africa. El Salvador, mostly agricultural. Africa, mostly agricultural, right? So what you've created is this generational poverty by having low wages, low paying jobs in abject poverty, all right? And so what you end up with this dropout rate about the sixth grade. Governor's graduation rate up to sixth grade, 100%. You think, wow, that's great, 100%. Get to junior high, starts to take a dive. Now you're down in the 60s. Get to high school, you're down in the 30s, right? Well, that means they're not graduating very many skilled laborers to fill up those factories that now they want to build, right? So we've got to do the same kind of investment in Ghana in the educational wheel as we did in El Salvador, which is going directly into that community, right where we're going to do the medical stuff, connecting with those community leaders and building programs that allow those children that are in those impoverished situations to stay and remain in school and gain those skill sets to fill up those manufacturing jobs and do things. And if you do that and you make that commitment, then you will see it turn around.
And to that, your program initiated scholarships to supplement the families so that they could keep their children in school.
Yeah.
So in Ghana, they're facing the same thing.
Absolutely.
They have to put their children to work, take them out of school, and so the cycle of poverty perpetuates. So share just in 30 seconds how your scholarship program started and where it grew to, and you graduated to your first college.
Absolutely. So what's important, we've got to have that community commitment, right? So in El Salvador, we work directly with the mayor, and we actually brought the children in. The community helped us identify those families that were in the most impoverished situations. We identified those, we raised the money to help keep them in school. And you think, oh my gosh, how much is it? Because we think private school, a couple $100 a year. It's like, you mean for $250, we can keep a child in school and have them go all the way through the system?
Yeah.
All right. But we also know from our experience that you just don't hand people a bunch of money that have never had that kind of money all at the same time. So we developed a system through the community leaders where the parent and the child actually come and talk to the mayor, which is kind of cool, right? They get to talk to the mayor and they prove up. They go, here's my report card. See how good I'm doing? Here's my attendance record. See how good I'm doing? And then the mayor goes, great. And here's your scholarship for the next semester of school. And that perpetuates that. And then as the kids went through that system and graduated and opened their own businesses, then they're donating back to their own community and holding their siblings and their people in their community accountable. And because of that, El Salvador worse than Ghana for graduation rate. They were in the 16% for high school graduation. Children that have gone through our program, we've got a 99% graduation rate. And what happened when we started graduating kids from high school, we had some of them come back and say, can we get support for college too? And we went, you know what, we hadn't done. We'll do it. So we actually perpetuated through college, and we graduated teachers and policemen and doctors and au pairs that have gone all over the world and come back to their communities and continue to contribute.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about something, how do you sustain it? How do you make it repeatable? And how do you make it generationally effective? That's how you do it. And you can do it in El Salvador and you can do it in Ghana, but you really have to have that desire and that commitment to do something. And I think Ghana's taken the right steps to be able to bring that industry back. And maybe learn from our mistakes, our mistakes where we did the big industrial revolution and then we shipped all of our jobs overseas, and now we're starting to bring them back. And it's like, you know, we gutted entire communities in the Northwest by moving manufacturing overseas, and we had to learn our lesson from that. You know, we needed to bring that back. And I think, you know, I would like to think that Ghana kind of learn that lesson, but, you know, we bring that back. We ought to have that here and raise our own country and our own people.
Thank you for that insight, Dr. McCormick. And so if there are no further, is there anything that you would like to end with?
I would just like to say I'm excited to be part of this. You know, like I said, this is a passion of mine as somebody that not only was a school teacher, but served in the military for 22 years and traveled all over the world. I found one thing to be true. It didn't matter where we were at, you know, and went to war zones and everything. Every parent, when you take the military equation out of it, when you take the government out of it, when you're sitting down talking to people in the community, just moms and dads and kids, they all want the same. I'd like to have a safe place to live. I'd like for my children to be educated, and I would like them to have a better life than I have. And I find that's consistent all over the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we can do and that we can affect right now.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. McCormick. So that'll end our evening's participation. Thank you so much. Right. So Dr. McCormick, thank you so much for participating, bringing your expertise, your passion to Project Generation Connect. We appreciate you. I think it should be stated that you are the vice chairman of the board of directors for Project Generation Connect, and we certainly appreciate your experience in as a fiscal sponsor. That's so important to Project Generation Connect. And so Ghana's projects operate under your nonprofit umbrella. And so that's an important relationship that we want to foster and that we want to recognize as well. So we'll, you know, it's important to have your and recognize your fiscal sponsoring entity, because we're receiving tax deductible gifts and grants with financial administration, compliance, and reporting. So that is such an important part of any nonprofit, and your experience there is invaluable to us. So that empowers us not to have to start from the beginning, but to use your experience and your company's, your nonprofit's experience for the past 25 years and translate that into the Ghana experience. So thank you once again so much for your support and your invaluable experience. So beyond Sunyani, we would like to ask that everyone who is receiving this information, this is our beginning, and we want to sustain our efforts in Ghana. And I want to thank all of you tonight who did the real work. We named the needs, we tested the models, we looked hard at the areas that we aspire to impact, and we're committed to the next steps. That's how a region moves forward from aid to trade, and that's at the heart of what it is we're aspiring to do. So not in a grand gesture, but in decisions made by people willing to own them. So this recording will go to the partners, the supporters, to those who have inquiring minds, want to know exactly what we're doing, who believe in this region's future and the diaspora coming home through Gateway to Ghana. And to learn more or to join us, the place to start is projectgenerationconnect.org. So the Gold Coast built its name trading with the world on its own terms. With the people in this room, the Bono region will do it again. Thank you all so much, and good evening.